Polychlorinated biphenyls, or PCBs, were widely used from transformers to insulators. In fact, they were even sprayed on dirt roads to keep the dust down. According to NOAA, nearly 1.5 billion pounds were produced from the 1920s until the late 70s, when they were banned for their toxicity. Hotspots of potentially hazardous concentrations of PCBs still exist today, even here in South Carolina, as these man-made chemicals settle down into the sediment.
Being concerned about this from a toxicity standpoint, the added problem is we did a really good job of creating a really resilient compound, or group of compounds. There's 209 of them actually, that don't break down readily. But just getting rid of them, like say out of a marsh or something like that, isn't straightforward. Most of what people have been doing to get rid of them is, well, if it's a bad spot, dig it up, cap it, something like that, move it. I believe, if I remember correctly, Hudson River, which was a famous site for being cleaned up, they moved a whole bunch of that by train cars to Texas. That's not a cheap way of fixing a problem, So that's been our motivation, is could we find a more passive way to treat a site and do something against the PCBs and keep it out of the food chain.
To do that, microbiology professor Hal May dug in the mud. Yes, really, the pluff mud of the Ashley River out at Brittlebank Park. A sample he gathered over 20 years ago proved to be a diamond in the mud, as it contained a microbe that could help get rid of those harmful PCBs. To understand how this can be done, we have to know what a PCB looks like.
So think of two hexagons, okay, with a bond in between the two of them. So at each one of those points on the hexagons is a place where a chlorine can be substituted on.
To destroy this very stable compound, there needs to be a plan of attack. 1. Attract and hold onto that harmful compound. This is done by a system called sediment. 2. Clear those chlorines from the ring. The bacteria that May found in the pluff mud was perfect for this, as it was an anaerobe. In fact, it doesn't require oxygen and can break down that first line of defense that PCB has, allowing for another bacteria that requires oxygen to come in and finish the job by breaking the rings apart, destroying the PCB. This three-pronged attack is being tested to degrade PCB in afflicted areas, as if left untreated, high concentrations of this harmful chemical can potentially cause human health concerns as it moves up the food chain. For this week's Moment of Science, I'm Storm Team 2 meteorologist David Dixon.